So we are going to do a heart dissection today. We have some sheep hearts because that's what are readily available. The sheep heart is very similar to the equine heart in structure and in function. As we know, sheep and horses are both mammals, so they're going to have a four-chambered heart, meaning two atria, and two ventricles. If you want to come take a look up close here, we know that this is the front of the heart because we know that the coronary vessels are crossing from the top left side of the heart to the bottom right side of the heart. So this structure right here that you're seeing are your coronary vessels. The coronary vessels are the vessels that are going to supply the heart itself with blood. So you have both veins and arteries in the coronary vessels. Lining the coronary vessels or the coronary groove are going to be a significant amount of fat. Some animals are going to have more fat on their hearts depending on the fat content of their body. So if you were to see a cow, for instance, in a slaughterhouse, their hearts are going to have a significant more amount of fat associated with them. The difference here, a horse heart's going to be significantly larger than this, okay? So about this structure, this size here. So front side of the heart, left here, right here. Left auricle, right auricle. The auricles we know are little outpouchings of the atria that are involved in blood flow to the coronary vessels. So what we're going to do here, we are going to start with cutting this heart. I have a few other heart specimens over there because when you transect them, depending on where you transect them, you may not get good images of all of the valves. So I'm going to cut it right down the middle. Let's see here. Okay. Cutting that septum. Okay, so we should be able to tell that this is the left side of the heart because the wall is significantly thicker. The right side of the heart, smaller, thinner wall. Here is the ventricular septum. That's going to separate the left side of the heart from the right side of the heart. The left side of the heart is going to be pumping oxygenated blood to the body, and the right side of the heart is going to be receiving deoxygenated blood and pumping deoxygenated blood to the lungs. So just for a quick review, I'm hoping that you all remember left side of the heart, oxygenated, right side of the heart, deoxygenated. Vessels coming into the heart are are veins, and they are going to be received by the atrium. Vessels leaving the heart are going to leave the heart in arteries and are going to leave via the ventricles, okay? So we have the left side of the heart here. We have the left atrium, the left ventricle. You can see these little cords are the tendinous cords or the chordae tendineae that are going to be attached to the papillary muscles that control the valves. This valve here, great image of our mitral valve. It's on the left side. It's the left AV valve. We know that's the mitral valve. Again, remember I used my older brother who's left-handed to remember he thinks he's better than everybody else. Left side of the body, mitral valve, mighty, okay? So mitral valve here, chordae tendineae. Left atrium, left ventricle. So if this is coming into the left side of the heart, into the left atrium, we know a vein must be coming into the atrium. It's left side, so it is oxygenated blood. So this is the pulmonary vein entering the left atrium. If we follow, here's the left ventricle. Remember, I'm just flipping it over. So if we flip to this side, left ventricle, if you follow the left ventricle up, here we go. This is the exit of the left ventricle. So this valve right here is going to be our aortic valve. Goes into the aorta, which was cut kind of right in half here. So the aorta is right here, coming out, that big vessel right there. Okay? All right, so that's the left side. Switching back over to the right side, we know it's the right side of the heart because the wall is thinner. Let's check and see where we are. This is a better image coming in. Right atrium here, right ventricle, the valve separating the right atrium from the right ventricle is our right atrioventricular valve, known as the tricuspid, because the tricuspid has 3 leaves of the valve, okay, chordae tendineae. Entering into the right side of the heart, it's entering, we know it must be a vein. It's on the right side. We know it must be deoxygenated blood. The vein carrying deoxygenated blood to the heart is going to be the vena cava. Vena cava enters here. So this is going to be the opening to the vena cava. Going to go through the right AV valve into the right ventricle. Now, if we try to find where it exits, here we go. Again, right side of the heart, smaller. This right here is the flap to the, let's check. Yep, it's actually up in here. Exiting the right ventricle, we know it must be deoxygenated blood right side of the heart. It's a ventricle, so we know it must be an artery. The artery leaving the right side of the heart is the pulmonary artery. So if we follow that around, here is the pulmonary valve. Okay? See if we've got, here's a better picture of it, right? I believe it's kind of hard to see on this cutout. It's been transected right there. So we'll find some other ones. Let's take a look at some other structures and see if we can see some good ones here. Left side, we know wall is thick. Right side, we know wall is thin. Ventricular septum. This is the right AV valve or the tricuspid valve. If I follow, here we go. If I follow the right ventricle up, let's see. Oh, here it comes. Here comes my little probe. It's coming up into this structure here. So we know that this is going to be the pulmonary artery. If I keep following through the right ventricle, it comes up into this structure here. So that's the pulmonary artery. Let's see. Left AV valve or the mitral valve. Left ventricle. This is going to be our aortic valve. You can see the thickness. And this big old fat structure that's been cut in half right here, that's the aorta. Okay. Got some other good ones. Let's see if we have any other good ones here. Awesome. Left side of the heart, big old fat side. Left AV valve, mitral valve, ventricle. So this right here is our aortic valve into the aorta, this big structure here. Right side of the heart, right atrium. Right ventricle leaving right here is going to be your right AV valve. Your pulmonary valve. Your right AV valve is down here. Your pulmonary valve is leaving the ventricle. Okay. So let's talk through the blood flow. Now, I can get confused talking through it, so we're going to try to step-by-step process it. We have the blood flow generally separated between the systemic and the circular, the pulmonary blood flow. I like to start with the systemic blood flow. Makes more sense to me, okay? So if we are thinking systemic blood flow, we are thinking we're pumping blood to the body. The blood that is going to the body is going to be oxygenated. So that blood needs to be coming from the lungs. So let's start at the source. We will start at the lungs, okay? The lungs have oxygenated the blood. The blood is leaving the lungs and going to the heart. All vessels entering the heart are veins, okay? If it's leaving the lungs, makes sense for it to be called the pulmonary vein. The pulmonary vein is going to enter the heart in an atrium through a vein. So pulmonary vein is going to enter the right atrium because the right side of the heart, I've already confused it. It is oxygenated blood, so it enters the left side of the heart. Pulmonary vein is going to enter the left atrium. Then it's going to go through, pause it.